by teenagers for teenagers about topics and issues concerning today's young people.
Pressures. Everybody has them, whether parental, scholastic, or peer. Every teenager has them. Hi, I'm Colleen O'Donnell, and welcome to Crosstalk. We have here with us Gillian, Jamie, and my co-host, Dr. Don Hamachek. How do you... Go on.
Well, I was going to say that a program like this, which deals with pressures, and I have to think, first of all, the kinds of pressures that you have to deal with in your own lives on a daily basis, perhaps, is a pressure to behave and dress and act in a certain way. And I sit here and I look at you, Jamie, and it looks like you're kind of dressed and expressing yourself in your own unique way. Do you feel any pressure to be more like the other kids?
I guess because I'm not like the other kids, I get a lot of conformity pressures, a lot. You know, because I'm different than the norm, people want me to be like them. And I'm sure if I look like them, I wouldn't have any pressures to look like them. So yeah, I do get a lot of pressures about conformity. And usually I just don't conform.
Yeah, it seems important to you to be your own person, at least in terms of how you express yourself in your clothes.
Yeah, I like to have, you know, my own, I like to be individual. I like to have my own personality. I'm not, you know, hardcore, which is, you know, way off to the lunatic fringe. You know, I don't want to be, you know, totally different. I want to be with people, you know, and conform a little bit, but not so much to the styles that I don't like.
How do you find your friends reacting to this?
My friends are, I go through a lot of social groups. Like, I have friends who would be classified as meatheads, you know, and I have friends who dress like me and interact really well with me. And so my friends know who I am, and so they just, you know, accept who I am, accept what I am. And, you know, and like my friends are like, well, why don't you get a haircut, you know? The people I don't know, and the people who don't know me.
And how does that affect you?
It keeps me going. I like, you know, I like the attention. I don't like, you know, all the language and the, you know, the rip that I get from people. But if people didn't notice me, you know, I wouldn't dress like I do. I wouldn't get the attention. And I'm an attention monger. I need, you know, I need people to look at me and say,
okay,
hey.
so at least you're honest enough to admit that one way of getting what you need, namely attention, is to dress to that.
Yeah.
And it startles people to some extent, I would imagine.
Yeah, I like to shock people too. I like to do things out of the norm, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, keep them on their toes.
Shock your parents?
No, because they've watched me grow. They've watched me evolve to what I am. You know, I didn't just come home one day with black hair, you know. They're like, oh my God, what happened? You know, I evolved. I went through my stages, you know, with long hair and Ozzy Osbourne and believe it or not, yes. And you know, and then I went through my stages of short hair and, you know, sports and stuff like that. And then I've just come to what I am now. And my parents have watched me grow and watched me become.
So although there's a certain pressure on kids in school to behave and dress in a certain way, it's also possible for someone to be quite unique and to be his own particular person.
Yeah, I get a lot of, you know, a lot of people, I get a lot of friends, you know, who say, well, I really like the way you dress, you know, and that's what I like about you. You're so unique, and you're your own person, your own individual. You know, that's how I get respect from some people, and some people I don't get respect from.
Sure, yeah. You put up with with a certain amount of raising and hassling, don't you?
Yeah, I put up with a lot of that. It's not so much, now that I'm a senior at my school, you know, my class deals with me, and the classes before me are starting to catch up with me, you know. But the classes that were ahead of me when I was like a sophomore and a junior, the seniors or the juniors, you know, wouldn't accept me, and they'd rip on me. And now that I'm a senior, I get a lot more social acceptance.
So do you find, as you matured, it was, you know, mind-wise, that you cared what other people thought, but you just, if they really didn't like you after knowing you and everything, if they were going to judge you without knowing you, you really didn't care.
Yeah, I've had a lot of friends at school who hated me before they got to know me. You know, they just thought I was the biggest whatever, you know, and they got to know me, and now they're really close friends of mine. You know, and I think, you know, people, I do it too, everybody does it. You judge a book by its cover. You see someone, you get a stereotype in your mind, and it's hard to break that stereotype. And, you know, I see people all the time and stuff. You know, I get my stereotypes too.
So beneath the stereotype is the kind of likable person that once people get to know,
Yeah,
it seems okay.
Yeah, well, I think I'm a pretty good guy.
Hello, Gillian.
Hi.
Gillian, do you face in your own life particular pressures that you feel quite conscious of, more so than some others, let's say?
Yeah.
You're a sophomore now, aren't you?
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
Mainly about grades.
Grades.
Right, and behavior, things like that. And not so much for my friends, it's for my parents, because my dad especially is really worried about what I'm going to be, when I'm going to decide what I'm going to be, you know, how I'm doing here, how I'm doing there.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? That makes me feel really tight, like really worried about what I'm doing, because, you know, I can't get every assignment in every day, every week, you know, it's hard to do it that way. And so he's like sending those to my teachers and keeping up on me and everything. So that makes it a lot harder for me to want to do things right because he's bugging me about it.
Oh, I see. In other words, if you're feeling that he's riding you hard to behave in a certain way, to perform at a certain level, you feel more resistance to that.
Right. It makes me feel angry because I feel that I'm fine, you know, I can get it done my own way. But he keeps telling me and telling me and telling me. You feel like he doesn't trust you. Right. That's about what it is, yeah. It's basically it's like you want me to mature, but yet you're just, right. You don't trust me. Do it your way. I know. I want to do it my way, you know, at my own pace, but that's not the way he wants me to do it.
That seems so important, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you know, to do it your way, whatever that way happens to be. And you're saying to your parents, please allow me the freedom to do it my way, whatever that way happens to be. And if you're feeling like you have to do it because they're telling you to do it, then you feel less your own person?
I feel less like I want to do it. Because I feel like I'm doing it for them, not for myself. And so I don't really feel like I want to do it.
You know, it's a trap. It's a one-way street. All your life you're raised and people say, be a leader, don't be a follower, go your own way, be your own person, you know. And then you go and you differentiate from the norm, and you're an outcast.
Okay, we have to take a break now. We'll be right back.
Surf's up. You two coming in? They'll just wipe out. Oh, Tony.
We'll do fine. After this complete breakfast, including my vitamin pack Frosted Flakes, they bring out the tiger in you.
We'll try to stay up, okay?
Frosted Flakes, okay? They're good.
Show 'em you're a tiger. Show 'em what you can do.
Go, tiger!
The taste of Tony's Frosted Flakes
Look at him go!
brings out the tiger in you.
And you.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Hey, you just said the magic words. Now look what you did.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
You get the best for so much less, you'll really flip your lid.
If it's new and hot,
It's a toy they've got, and the prices are hard to beat.
I don't want to grow up. Cause if I did,
You couldn't be a Toys R Us kid.
more games, more toys.
It's the world's biggest toy store. Let's go.
Panic strikes on the next episode of Laverne and Shirley.
Lenny and Squiggy have run away.
So? They've run away before?
In a million years, you'll never guess where they are.
At the circus.
Those bozos are under the big top.
Hello, boys and girls and children of all religions.
Can the girls convince them there's no place like home? Find out on the next Laverne and Shirley.
That's Laverne and Shirley, Friday afternoon at 5:30.
On our next show, he captured the hearts of 2 generations. Now he's back for more, wearing a coonskin cap and a big grin, and surrounding the whole Creek Nation.
You think there's enough of us? We'll give them the old Crockett charge.
A true Disney classic. Davy Crockett. Don't miss it.
We're here to locate Indians, Crockett.
Don't miss the Disney Magic, Friday at 7 on TV 47.
Hi, welcome back. We're going to continue our discussion of peer pressure. We have 2 new youngsters with us. Meet over here, Tara, 15 years old and a sophomore.
Yeah.
And Chris, 18, 17 years old? 18 and a senior. One of the things I'd like to get us started with would be the kinds of pressures that teenagers feel in high school to participate in some kind of drug. Alcohol, marijuana, whatever it might be. Do you feel that in your experience as a teenager? Tara, how about you?
I don't think I'm really, well, I think there's pressure on it, but I don't really, I I mean, I'm not really into it. I really don't want to start doing any of those. You know? But you do hear a lot of stuff in school. You know, oh, I got sober.
Do you get any kind of pressure like, come on, let's have one. Nobody will know to, that kind of thing? Okay.
No. If you get asked and you say no, that's the end of it. So at least in my school. I mean, at least with my friends are.
So it isn't the commercial sort of thing where your friends hang around you for hours on end and going, please, please.
No, they don't force you down and shove it down your throat.
Because we hear some pretty wild stories about that. Teenage parties and booze is being passed around, and pretty soon someone tries it who hasn't before, and pretty soon it grows and expands. And you've been in high school for 2 years longer now, Chris. Have you had to face that in your own high school career?
No, I mean, not at all. And people actually, I mean, I don't drink, and just because I really, you know, doesn't seem like such a big thrill.
Well, no, tell us about that, Chris. You don't drink. That's quite unusual for a high school student who hasn't had some experience with that in 4 years. How have you managed not to do that?
Well, I mean, I've been exposed to it. You know, I've gone to a wide range of parties, you know, and every kind, you know, somebody might ask me, you know, if I want to try some.
Sure.
If I don't feel comfortable, or if, you know, if I just don't like it, which I, you know, my main reason for not drinking is that I just don't like the taste. So that's a good enough reason for me, so I just say no. And I've actually had a lot of my friends, you know, come up to me later or even that night and say, you know, well, that, you know, we're really proud of you, you know, that, you know, you think about that by yourself, because a lot of people are too weak to you know.
So do you like yourself better that you actually stood up for yourself and didn't say, oh, sure?
Oh, I don't really think about it, because it's just, you know, I don't want to drink, so I choose not to. And I haven't really been exposed to any, you know, pressure like that.
What would you say that you've lived up to your parents' expectations? Have you had a fair number of messages from Mom and Dad about the hazards of drinking? Have you been forewarned? What part of your parents played, would you say, in your attitude about drinking?
A very small part. They don't bother me with it. I think that they realize that if I decided that I were to start drinking or take drugs, that it would be my prerogative and that there wouldn't be a whole lot they could do to change it.
That sounds more uncommon and atypical than is usual. That is, the two of you haven't really experienced a lot of pressure.
Yeah, so parents that pressure the kids not to drink, the kids are most likely, you know, it's just like somebody says, don't look here, that's the first place you're going to look.
Yeah, exactly.
If they tell you, you know, if they don't bug you a lot, you're more apt to say, nah, it's no big deal with me.
What kind of pressures do you experience in terms of getting certain grades at school, doing academically as well as possible? You do, Tara?
Yeah, I do. For my mom, you know, she's always asking me, did you do all your homework? What did you get on this test? You're not studying. I haven't seen you do your homework tonight. It's like, yes, Mom, I did it. You weren't home while I did it, but yes, I did it. There's also sports.
Okay, talk about that.
I play volleyball and softball, and I get home usually around 7:30, and start doing my homework. I start studying. It just feels blunt. It just feels like forever.
So you have to pack a lot into a day because of your extracurricular activities.
And when do your parents sit there and say that they have so much pressures and have so many things to do, and you feel like that they're not noticing that you do so much?
Well, sometimes, but I mean, she really doesn't sit there and go on and on and on about it. You know, she'll mention something about it, but you know, she'll notice my problems too sometimes.
Now, sometimes kids feel really resentful when parents ask questions like, have you done your homework? Are you sure everything's done? And so forth. How are you feeling about the kind of what you see as pressure coming from your mom?
It really bugs me to be asked, you know, did you do your homework? Yeah, Mom. You know,
what part would you prefer your mom play in her role as a mother as you go through high school when it comes to academic performance?
A friend?
Well, yeah. I think it would. I mean, I think I would like it better if she just helped me through it. Sometimes help me with my homework. Sometimes I ask her about something. You know, I just don't get the answer I want, so I'll get really frustrated. And so I've been just cut it off and don't ask her anything else about it. Just say, just forget it, Mom.
How about you, Chris? Do you
want?
I get a lot of pressure from my dad. Just in the same way, reminding me to do my homework and asking me if I have. And I work every day after school. and I usually get home, 5:30, 6 o'clock. So, by the end of the day, I'm usually really tired. And the last thing I want to hear when I get home is, have you done your homework? And I mean, maybe, maybe I'd plan to do it later. Maybe I'd done it during school, because I have study hall. Or maybe I don't have any. And a lot of times when I say that I don't, they'll like, what do you mean you don't have any homework?
So sometimes you'd like some good feedback instead of just questions.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the more stressful things, I think, is when a constant reminder from your parents about all these different things, and when you're just trying to cope with it all.
Actually, I think it sometimes makes me feel good that my mom asks me about some things, just because I know that way she cares. But sometimes it can really get on my nerves. But
Do you kind of feel that with the questions on a daily basis of whether you've done your homework or not has something to do with them not trusting you to use your good judgment to do homework? Is that an issue with you at all?
Well, yeah, sometimes I feel like that, I just feel, I do my homework every day, Mom. Why do you always ask me if I have or not?
Okay, thank you, Tara. We have to go to a break. We'll be right back after these messages. Thank you.
Kid, what do you call a black knight on a charging horse?
What, Sue?
A nightmare. Help, kid.
Time for a powerful Cheerios breakfast. A balanced breakfast like this one.
You got go with Cheerios, energy oats that help you grow. You got go power with Power Oats, coming on strong with Cheerios. You feel the Cheerios.
A Cheerios breakfast.
Mouse on the run.
Turn the crank, snap the flank.
Kick the boot and down the chute.
Watch it roll, hit the pole.
In the tub of rubber dub.
Flip the man in the pan.
The trap is set. Now drop the net. Gotcha! Catch a mouse with Mousetrap.
The craziest game you've ever seen. Get the cheese, but don't get trapped.
Mouse on the run. Little mice on the run.
Race them just for fun.
I go here, you go there.
Give the mice a little scare.
Watch them go, don't be slow. The trap is set. Now drop the net. No! Catch a mouse with Mousetrap.
From Milton Bradley.
Next on Mork and Mindy.
What do you expect to accomplish by killing us?
There's no place like Rome. Mindy, your ancestors, you talk to them.
That's Mork and Mindy, Friday afternoon at 5.
On the next episode of Throb, Sandy finds a new way to catch a man.
Don't move! My husband's a Doberman. I got 2 cops in the bedroom.
Add a little special touch to a stunning outfit.
It's me.
And a hot date's on with Mr. Right.
Move in with me. I have a great view of the park. Still no, huh?
The game of love is a costly one.
Okay.
On the next episode of Throb.
Yours is 1850.
Diana Canova stars in Throb, Saturday night at 7:30 on TV 47.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. We're here with Chris, a senior, and Tara, a sophomore. We're discussing teenage pressures. Doctor?
One of the things that I was thinking about is the considerable discussion these days about the pressure on young adolescents to be more engaged sexually at younger and younger ages. And I'm wondering, is that something that you feel as teenagers to be more involved intimately in sexual ways as you experience your high school careers?
I haven't really been. I mean, as far as I've seen, and personally, I really haven't, had any pressures from, like, my friends or anybody. I mean, I guess, well, maybe it's by my age now that people just consider it more a personal thing than they do.
So this locker room talk stigma, is it there?
Well, not in the locker room that much, but I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Would you say that you're typical?
Yeah, I guess so.
Would you? How about you, Tara? Is that, as a young woman now, 15 years old, a sophomore in high school, are you experiencing any pressures in terms of sexual experimentation?
I don't think I'm really pressured into it. I mean, I don't think there's the pressure. I mean,
you feel
there's
like
the talk.
There's a lot of talk about it.
Yeah, but there's no pressure.
There's no pressure that you feel that it's something that you have to experience in order to satisfy.
Is there curiosity? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, not really, but yeah. I mean.
Sure. How about the pressure now that you feel to make it economically after high school? Do you feel a certain urgency to have to maintain a certain standard of living once you're out of high school, get a certain education and so forth?
I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, I guess I would.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're further away from it. You're only a sophomore. Chris, it looks like you were about to respond.
Well, I would say it'd be more from myself and my peers and from my parents. Because the object of, you know, making a lot of money to be happy, my parents, they don't really support that. As long as you're happy, I mean, financially, you don't have to be, you know, well set. But for myself, I just want to be comfortable. So I have certain standards that I set for myself, and then just for my friends.
Do you worry about making enough money to maintain, and you said be comfortable, to maintain your habits in the sense that you grow up with?
I would probably prioritize my habits so that, you know, there are some that I don't have to, you know, always have, that I could drop if I had to. But I worry about, you know, in the sense of being comfortable doing what I want to do without any hang-ups.
You are planning, I think, to go to college.
Yes.
When you're all through. And what are your educational goals beyond high school?
Well, really, just to, you know, pursue a profession.
What would you like to be?
Either medical research or a physician.
I think you said, as we talked before the program, that you could make a very small amount of money, but just so long as you felt personally at peace yourself. That seems to be a rather mature attitude for an 18-year-old to have. How about the pressure to be involved with in the dating scene? We're not going to be able to really get into that because I just heard from our floor manager that we now have to take a break.
I'm moving my feet for a taste so neat. That yellow Pop-Tart taste. Pop, 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 my feet can't stop until they pop up nice and hot.
Because it tastes so good.
I'm moving my feet to the Pop-Tart beat. Moving real fast, cause they sure won't last. Real fruit on the inside, great taste all around. Pop, pop, Pop-Tart. I'm moving my feet to the Pop-Tart beat. Because they taste so neat.
Ultravet, the only car cool enough for
Barbie and the Rockers. Ultravet is shiny, pink, and fast.
You put it together.
On the road, the Rockers have a blast.
Hot news!
Ultravet's the coolest way to cruise.
Ultravet car and the Rockers each sold separately. Instruments and stands not included.
The Rockers, Ultravet.
Just do me one favor, will you hit the deck?
What? Go down.
In our next episode, Buck and a beautiful fugitive escape across an alien desert, pursued by a murderous android.
I'm really sorry I have to do this.
Did your doctor say that drug was safe for your baby? While you're pregnant, don't take drugs unless they're prescribed by your doctor, who knows you are or may be pregnant.
Mommy, don't.
Hi, welcome back. Colleen, we've got a few minutes, and here you are, my co-host, and you're 16 years old and a sophomore in high school. You're a teenager, and you must experience your own pressures. What do you have to live with in terms of the things that weigh heavily in your mind as a teenager growing up?
Well, I wouldn't really say there were a lot of pressures, at least on me. I think I put my pressures on me. I want to, I don't know, I don't want to just make a living. I want to be somebody someday. You know,
a lot of teenagers are like you.
They're always, I'm going to be rich and famous. You know, and I don't care about, I just want to make a stand. I want to be somebody someday. just, you know, everybody has that thought in their mind, but...
Yeah, have you always been this way? You've kind of wanted to be something special and do something special? For example, you put this TV program together and you're co-hosting it. Where does that come from? Where does this ambition come from that you have? You create your own pressure, as many do.
I admire my grandfather. I have to say, I admire my grandfather so much, and excuse me, I think that's where it comes from. He was really poor, and he worked his way to not being so poor, and I think I really admire him for that.
Do you feel any pressure at all from your parents to achieve at a certain level, to be a certain kind of person? We heard the earlier youngsters talk about having to perform at a certain level and even resisting too much parental pressure.
Well, of course, there's parental pressure, but they've got to give it to us, you know, to get us someplace. But yeah, I have pressure, but I think my stepfather's like a kid, and that helps a lot because he's like a kid sometimes too. And I'm an only child, so sometimes he can get the bum rap for that, being a kid too. And so, you know.
You mean that gives you someone to relate to at your level? Someone that would understand you at your level?
Yeah, just at my level. I think so. I think my parents are good about that. They're not pressuring me about my grades so much. And
they're not telling you to do your homework and have you got your homework done?
Oh, sometimes, but they don't, not every day. It's like they trust me, which is good, which is really good.
Yeah. You know, that's something I think that's probably important for a lot of people to be aware of, and that is that this is not an easy time for teenagers to grow up in. There are a lot of pressures to cope with.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly the pressure to do something with one's life when high school is all done, because there are so many options available anymore.
And I think so many kids today are just, we've had so many changes since our parents were kids, and so many new things happen, and just more problems arise. And I think that's one of the things our parents probably maybe don't realize. You know, my parents are like, you know, they realize it a little bit, but not so much.
Yes. I think if there's one thing that stands out in my mind that I hear more from teenagers than anything else is the pressure to be their own person, the pressure to develop into a personality who's somehow unique and different from everybody else, and the freedom to do that.
Okay. Thank you for watching Crosstalk.
An hour of the funniest roommates on TV is coming your way with Mork and Mindy at 5, followed at 5:30 by Laverne and Shirley, here on WSYM TV 47.